Welcome back to Sip the Tyler Films. I'm your host, Coach Evans, and today we're going to continue with our interview series calling it The State of the Ravens from different Ravens content creators' point of view. Yesterday we had Ing Raven on, had one early in the week with Ryan from the Flock Rundown, and today we're going to bring you a different perspective. I got Ravens Talk with Yolanda coming up with us. So a different perspective and a one of the newer content creators in this Raven space. So you guys put your hands together, welcoming Yolanda to the channel, and let's get into the interview with Ravens Talk with Yolanda. Welcome back to Sip the Tyler Films. I'm your host, Coach Evans, and we have another special guest with us. Yolanda, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Oh, goodness. Gosh. Thank you so much for having me, Coach. I am doing well. How are you?
I'm fine. Now Yolanda has started her channel recently and has hit the 1,000 mark a lot faster than I did. And so I want to say congratulations for doing that. And I see that you continually growing. So congratulations in that aspect. And how hard has it been to get to that number? Was it harder than you expected or easier?
Thank you, Coach, for the nice, kind words. It was it was really tough getting there. Not necessarily getting the subscribers, but one thing I learned about jumping in kind of feet first, it was I bit off a little bit more than I can chew. I thought it was very simple. I thought you just open up a camera or your laptop and you just talk, and that's it. But I didn't realize how much goes into actually producing a show. So kudos, shout out to all of the wonderful Ravens content creators who are doing this because it is work.
Yeah, it's definitely working. It has to be a passion that you have. Otherwise, you'll burn out quick. Burn out quick.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
what actually made you want to get into the YouTube space though?
Okay. So I never thought of myself as doing YouTube for Ravens content. I always wanted to have like a YouTube channel where I talk all things girly, fashion and makeup and hair and nails and all that good stuff. But work has always been just really tough and time consuming. And I kept pushing it off like, okay, as soon as my workload kind of slows down, and it never really did. Then fast forward to me moving up to the DMV area, and I meet all of the wonderful people virtually who do YouTube, and I was invited to be a guest on Hendo's channel, The Rogue Pod. And I was like, "Oh, well, this is neat. This is fun. I like this." And then it was kind of LBHT, primarily Jose, and Hendo kind of, prodding me in that direction, like, "Gosh, you really should start a YouTube channel." And then Engraven joined the bandwagon too, like, "Yeah, go ahead and start a YouTube channel." So I said, 2024, why not? And I did.
And you started this channel in the calendar year 2024, right?
Yes, February of this year.
And I'm telling you, it's amazing that you got to that number because it took me a minute. I mean, a legit minute to get 1,000 subs. And the fact that you
Oh,
got it in what 7 8 months, that's really really good in my eyes. From
oh,
my standpoint, it's really really good. And again, congratulations. And I know I try to every time I see one pop up or whatever, I try to push it out like on social media so the more people that see it can fall in. And my thing is as the more I grow, the more I want to help people that mess with me grow. So that's the way I see it, and that's kind of how I got in with Jose and Hendo. And I'm like the more people see me, the more people see them. That I grow, they grow, and then you just fell right into that same boat. So welcome you into the fold.
so good. I'm here to stay. So this is a lot of fun. Wonderful community with just really excellent, I call them family members, excellent family members who subscribe to the channel and support, not just myself, but everyone out here. So it's been fun.
The regulars pop up and
Yes,
have conversation. It's like it's like play cousins almost.
it is. And
Your
it's
long distance cousins.
Yeah, it's really fun because I have all older brothers and they all played football or basketball. And, growing up, that was all that was on television, football of some sort or sports. And I loved it. I didn't understand it. Heck, I probably halfway still don't understand it now. But, it's always been fascinating. And now to find myself out here talking about the Ravens and doing it with people who are like minded and love the Ravens too. It's fun. I look forward to it.
Now, I'm gonna pivot for a second. This
Okay.
purple pop filter, where'd that come from?
Ooh, I liked it so nice, I got it twice. So I have a pink one and a purple one. Shout out to Doc Rock. You can find him on any of the social media platforms, DOCROCK. He is the originator, the author, the founder, the creator of Doc Pops. He's a YouTuber here. He's been doing it for many, many years, comes with a plethora of social media experience, a guru in his own right. And he created these in a various colors. I chose purple for obvious reasons, and of course, I have to have pink because, AKA why not? But that's where the pop filter comes from.
Yeah. So next question: is that the only kind you
That
make? Like the only shape? Because I need one for since I saw that.
Yeah.
When we get off, I'm straight to either that website or Amazon to find me a purple one because I didn't know they came in colors.
Yes, if you go to Doc Rock, you just search Doc Rock right here on YouTube. His YouTube channel will come up, DOCROCK. His YouTube channel will come up and his links to where you can purchase them. They come in different sizes for different types of microphones. I just purchased the one that's fitted for mine, but it'll on the website when you click on it, it tells you exactly what sizes for each respective microphone.
Hey, I'm there soon as we finish because I need that
Okay.
purple. I
Yeah,
need it.
of course you do.
How long have you been a Ravens fan? Were you born into it, or what event made you come to the purple and black?
I was not born into it. So I'm from Florida and I'm from Orlando, not a football team in my hometown. So I grew up kind of like sandwiched between Tampa Bay and gosh, I'm about to tell my age when, Ronde Barber was there in Tampa and I was sandwiched in between Tampa Bay and Jacksonville Jaguars. And I never really like loved either one. Like, I mean, I watched it because it was what was on television. Sure, I watched it, but it was like, I don't know who won. I don't know who they're playing. Fast forward to 2015, I move up here. I make this trip and relocate up here to the DC area, right outside of Baltimore. And it was like a brand new like a new world for me coming here, the experience of how they really embrace the Ravens and the Orioles too. I'm just not a baseball fan. I know you are, coach, but I'm sorry. But they, like the city comes alive. Purple Fridays really is a thing. And I'm like, oh wow, they really stand behind sports here. This is really cool. I like this. Then the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, is when Baltimore Ravens selected my guy, Lamar Jackson, as quarterback from hometown. Well, not really hometown, but state of Florida. I just had to, I said, count me in. And from then on, and then, through the pandemic, and then it was like, wait, I can't go to games. I can't like socialize in person. I started watching Engraven. And then from there, it was, I found your channel. And then from there, I found another channel. I was like, oh, now this is really cool. In the limitations that I have, I'm still able to connect and watch games together virtually and yell at the TV with everybody else and cheer when everybody else is. So that's how it happened.
It's like we watching the game at the bar or at your favorite spot, but everybody just can't be there. But it still
Yeah.
feels like we're all watching it together, reacting together, telling our experiences about the game, whatever. So watch parties to me are amazing. Just to see that many people come and interact, and what gets me is there's a few people that tune in that are at the game,
Mm,
which is wild. That like you're actually in the stadium
yeah.
experiencing it live, but you have one of our channels up, like still participating in the chat, and that's crazy to me. But it's heartwarming too to know people think about you that much to rather
Yeah.
listen to you than what's going on at the game.
Yeah, and they are getting it right then, probably a second or 2 before we see it on television. They're like, "Oh, goodness," and they're letting you know, like, "Ooh, this is about to happen." Yeah, so it's really, it's more than just I wanna say I know it is a community, but it's just to me, it's more than that. It's, like, really extended family. Like, I feel like when I'm talking to I know it's a camera. When I'm talking to the camera and I'm on here, I feel like I'm just hanging out with my family or my close friends. And we're, like you said, coach, we're at a bar or we're at a restaurant at a local pub watching the game together. And it's really rewarding.
So what has been your fondest memory as a Ravens fan?
Hmm. I would say my fondest memory is when Lamar Jackson won his first league, NFL league MVP. The second one was sweet too, but that first one, when you can say at such a young age, I think he was what, 24, maybe 23, maybe 25, because he's 27 now. So then that 24, 5. Okay, so then 22, 22, 23. At a 22, 23-year-old age, you get a unanimous MVP, and that's something that nobody will ever be able to take away from him. I don't care what wonderful things life has in store for him because I'm speaking positivity over him. I don't care what wonderful accomplishments he's going to make, including and not limited to Super Bowl MVP this year when we win it all. That's right. I had to put that in there some kind of way. But all of it. But just being able to say, "That's my quarterback." Like, I know Lamar Jackson, like, I don't, but still, I still was able to say that, and I still am. And I go into these YouTube streets, i.e. social media, and I will be the first one to say, "Oh, correction, that is now two-time league MVP." Put some respect on my quarterback's name. So I think that was my fondest moment.
And the speech was just as fulfilling, where he thanked mom and
Thanked
gave
his
most of the
mom.
credit to her. That's I think Lamar is a great human being, and Ian Raven talked about it yesterday. He basically saying that, like, no matter his stature, he is a genuinely kind human being. And I said we couldn't have a better dude as our quarterback. And people didn't like the plaits or the dreads or the hair or the tattoos, but he did it his way. He was not willing to change who he is or his appearance for maybe endorsements or to be the company guy or whatever. And now they starting to roll in because you see we got he's like, I ain't gonna say he the face of Gatorade, but he one of the main ones up there. I see that commercial so much I almost get tired of it.
Exactly, yes. It is. It really is. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, "Ooh, look at Lamar." And then you kept seeing it, and then you kept seeing it, and now you keep seeing it. So yeah, absolutely. I love that about him, that young people can see someone who says, "I know what a typical person in my role looks like. I know what a typical quarterback looks like. I don't look like that, nor do I play like that. But don't discount me. Don't count me out. In fact, buckle your seatbelt because I'm about to take you on a bumpy ride." And he's done it in his fashion, true to himself, and he always remembers where he came from.
Right. As much as they wanted him to change positions when he first got here, the league is now evolving to, if your quarterback can't move, you're in trouble.
You are in
Like it's
trouble.
it's 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 a few dinosaurs left that are still having success, but
Yeah.
not many. Like Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, they are the last of a remaining few pocket quarterbacks,
Yes.
and you better have some mobility, or you're gonna be in for a rude awakening. Even everybody wants to throw this claim on Joe Burrow as like the the ultimate pocket quarterback, but he moves too.
He can
He don't
move.
have to run, but he can move.
Yeah.
And so if you can't move, you quarterback might not be a position for you, your buddy, coming in the near future.
That is an excellent point. Great observation there. So kudos to Lamar for remaining true to himself, not changing, allowing the game to come to him and saying, "Hey, I'm not going to conform. I'm going to be me, and I'm still going to do it well."
Gotcha. So before we get into the actual questions about the team this year, I wanted to ask you, because you're a young lady in sports, and there's always this stigma with some knuckleheads that don't want to listen or say it ain't, like, I hate to use the word they be saying, but like, it ain't your place.
Yep.
Have you witnessed any things on that nature since you started the YouTube journey? Have you like had trolls or anything to like people just like tell you like just don't talk or stuff like that?
Of course.
And
Yes.
how'd you handle it other than the
Um,
block button?
yeah, that too, that works. But, I don't use that. In fact, I just tell people, "Thank you so much for the comment. God bless you on your journey," because I've always embraced where I am. Yes, I'm out here producing content about the Baltimore Ravens, but I've never played the game. I've never coached the game. My perspective is just from a female who watches, and it might be limited, it might not be as profound as others, but I open up a space where people can come and help me learn. If there's something that someone can teach me, I'm willing to learn. So my platform and my channel is about learning and getting better and growing because like for example, my nephew, he played safety all throughout high school, throughout college. So I'm familiar with the safety position. And my husband's a former linebacker. So he played linebacker in high school and in college. So I'm familiar with those 2 positions. But then ask me about cornerback. I had to study, and I still do. Ask me about D lineman. What's the difference? And that's why I made the videos that I made to kind of teach myself. And if I teach someone else, even if it's one person along the journey, mission accomplished.
I agree 100%. All it takes is one.
Yeah.
If a video enhances a person's life, whether it be learning them, I mean not learning them, I use my old like then something, teaching them something,
Yep.
um, or just getting their mind off their day, or just getting their head back in the right spot. I feel like each video has done this job, even if it's just one person that it helps out. Because to me, it's therapy. It's
Yeah.
nothing for me to just turn it on and just start yapping. The hardest thing is to find something to yap about.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood. Me, I'm a talker, so I can find something. I'm gonna talk about something just because I can talk. I mean, that's what it is, but yeah, I understand for someone like yourself, coach, is more reserved, I could see it being, but you do a fantastic job though, so, like, the fact that we have a very reliable and trustworthy source, and one thing I really enjoy about your content is that you really keep it objective. Yes, I know that Ravens are your team. Yes, I know you love Lamar Jackson. Yes, I know you have certain players. Like about Odafe Owe, it might be a little hard for me to be objective at times, but credit to you for being able to do that. And so when you render an opinion because of your ability to be objective, I think it just holds that much more weight.
Yeah, and I tried to coach that same way too. I don't never want to have a
Yeah.
favorite player, but they always creep in there. And you have
Yeah.
guys that kind of do what you ask them to do, and they kind of tend to be your favorites. But in this space, you got guys that you see that they can work.
Yeah.
They just don't have the opportunity, or the talent is not quite good enough, or for whatever reason it don't work out. And that's kind of where that um infatuation with Prochet did, because I know he's a hard worker.
Yeah.
I know what he did in college. I know the tape told me in college. Then every opportunity he got in Baltimore is just, whether it's his fault or somebody else's fault, it just didn't work out. And after so
Yeah.
many not working out, they got to get rid of him.
To
So I
keep
understood why they did what they did, because he wasn't producing.
right.
And so it's for the betterment now, because we got some decent receivers, and we're gonna talk about one a little bit later, but
Okay.
it worked out for the better.
Yeah.
And as far as 2024, let's get into these scoundrels. And when I say scoundrels, you already know where I'm going.
Mhm.
How do you feel about this offensive line so
Ooh,
far? Like,
jeez.
with what's that? Makari, Falele, Rosengarten, because I butchers that young man's name all the time, and Ronnie and Linderbaum. How do you feel about those five as a whole?
Let's start with the good. I am very happy to see that Ronnie Stanley has been healthy this year and very consistent. Yes, there are a few times where he gets a penalty here and there. He's not able to, stand up and move his defender backward. But he, for the most part, has been a consistent force on this offensive line. And just again, the fact that he's been healthy, kudos to Ronnie Stanley. Tyler Linderbaum. Every blue moon we see a foible, a mistake. But those are so few and far in between that you really give him grace when they do happen, when there's a botched snap. It doesn't happen often. It's not something that we need to raise our eyebrows about and say, well, is this a trend? That is really one of EDC's prized picks that he made as being the general manager. Now, Daniel Falele, um, I just have a philosophy that maybe he's not ready to be a starter. I know he is a starter on our team, but maybe he's not ready. That's not to say he couldn't be ready next year, a year, 2 years from now. That's not to say that with some practice, some reps, that's not to say he can't get there. But if we are in a win now mode, you keep that in the forefront of your mind and you say, he's not getting the job done consistently. Now, there was a period of time, a stretch of games, I think it was 4 or 5 games maybe, that we were winning, and it was okay. And people came in my chat and they said, "See, I told you it was just a matter of time. The offensive line would take a couple of weeks, but when it did," I think it was around maybe it was the Dallas game or perhaps the Bills game, one of those 2 when the offensive line like, "Oh, wow, we're really doing good. Look how many points we're able to put up." And we credited a lot of it to the O-line being great. Well, okay. I'm all about perspective, keeping things in its proper place. We were good, borderline even great, against what type of teams and what type of defensive fronts? When you pair us against the Eagles' defensive front, we did not look good. We looked bad, actually. And if we are talking about let's contend this year right now, we start players on an offensive line that probably would not be starting in any other team that has that same win now mode. The Eagles, the Bills, the ones who are out there, the Chiefs. You put Pat McCarry in that same conversation, he's likely not starting in any of those teams. So why is he starting on ours? I don't mind them being backups. And if we jump out ahead and we're in a significant lead, if you then want to put them in to make sure that they are, getting some reps and getting some practice in, okay, we're winning 45-10. All right, let's put McCary in. Let's put Falele in the last quarter. I'm fine with that. But the fact that we don't utilize Ben Cleveland and the fact that we decided somewhere during this offseason that it would be okay to entrust our prized possession of Lamar Jackson to the hands of inexperienced and or rookie players. Rookie in terms of this is their first time playing in that position. That is concerning to me as a fan. And if we have players like Kevin Zeitler, who was a seasoned, solid, experienced veteran who could have held that guard position and just really kind of solidified our offensive line. But we decided somewhere along the way that no thanks, Zeitler. The 3, 4, 5 million that you're asking, we're not doing it. That bothers me.
The chump change.
Right. Yep.
And that thing with Falele, he has gotten better throughout the
Yeah.
season. But I'm like you, if we're trying to win the Super Bowl now, and honestly, Ben may not be better than Falele, but we don't know that.
Right.
All the signs that we've seen from Ben play, like the games he's played,
Yeah.
he played well. So common logic is to say Ben Cleveland is better than Falele because we've seen Ben Cleveland play,
Yep.
we've seen Falele play, and they look nothing alike.
Mm-mm. And that's not to say Ben Cleveland is A plus. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you have to choose the better of the 2 options, again, to your point, we don't really know what a full game of Ben Cleveland looks like during the regular season. We've seen him sprinkled in here and there, and that's about it.
Yeah. And except for got one full game last year versus the Steelers,
Yeah.
one full game that was important, and that was that Steeler game. The second game he played, it was like we had played all backups, but that one Steeler game stood out a lot to me because the Steelers was they were trying to win, and we
Always.
needed to win. So that's the one that stood out to
Yeah.
me. And even Josh Jones, I think is his name. He played the full season last year
Yep.
in Houston.
In
Now
Houston.
we did him bad game one at tackle, but after that game they moved him to guard, and he had a decent season at guard
Yeah.
for Houston. So at least
Try.
evidently they must be doing something in practice that we don't know about. They must be god awful in practice.
I can't believe that. I just have a hard time buying into they must be doing something bad at practice because to me, and coach, please correct me if I'm wrong or if you have through your experience seen something different, but what you do in practice is going to translate somehow to on the field. If you are messing up over and over and over and over again in practice, I don't expect you to get on the field and then miraculously put it all together. I'm going to believe that if you're having mistakes after mistake after mistake in practice, that's what I'm expecting to see you on the field. And if that be the case, then we would have seen mistake after mistake after mistake from Ben Cleveland. Or like you mentioned against with the Texans, we would have seen mistake after mistake after mistake with Josh Jones.
Yeah. And like the what was that? The Packers people tried to warn us, but we didn't believe them. But
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
believe them now. We believe them now.
We
Now,
believe him now.
let's flip to the other side.
Okay.
We had a shaky start from our defense. A 10-week run where we were very very bad numerically. Now I looked this up today. We had got out of the 32nd spot as far as passing, but
Great.
since the bye week has happened, we're back in that 32nd spot. But the good part about that is 3 maybe 4 weeks ago we were giving up 399 yards a game passing.
Wow.
We've gotten that down to 365. So in a matter of a month, we've knocked 35 yards off of that average. So that means we are giving up a lot less here recently. And Michael Crawford gave me a stat yesterday. First 10 weeks, we gave up, I think, the most explosive plays or the third most explosive plays. But over the last 3 weeks, we are first. We're giving up explosive, but we only allowed 3. So that shows the direction that the defense is going.
Yeah.
But tell me what you think about Zach Orr's maturation, his process, and even if you think he's the man for the job.
Okay. My thoughts on Zach Orr was or are that it should not have taken as long as it did for him to kind of figure out what players need to be in what position and how best to utilize them. And the reason I say that is because, yes, under Mike McDonald, we had to have some growing pains, i.e., that Dolphins game a couple of years ago. And we did. It was painful. It was downright embarrassing, horrible, whatever word you want to call it. It was all of that, right? But then we saw Mike McDonald get back in the lab and he figured out how to use these players, how to get the best from the personnel that we have. So when he passed the torch over to Zach Orr, given that we had 85% of the same players, with the exception of 4. And yes, an argument can be made that at least 1 or 2 of those 4 were really, really crucial, i.e., pass rush, right? Okay. But being that the core of the team remained intact, not including Eddie Jackson, but we all know that what that turned out to be. But the fact that you had a successful playbook at the ready, to me, that means you didn't have to go through the difficult times of figuring it out the same way that that Mike McDonald did after he took over from Wink, who was just complete opposite, 100% blitz. That's all he did. And then Mike McDonald went to move to a more balanced approach where he didn't just rely heavily and solely on the blitz package, right? Okay. So Zach Orr, I wanted to give him some time, but at some point I said, okay, well, time is running out. And with stats like that, with the big, discrepancy between we're number 1 in stopping the run, but we're 32 in defending against the pass. Like, how do you balance that? And it was tough for me for a while to figure that Zach Orr was the right person for the job. And since some changes to personnel have been made, i.e., some have gone to the bench and others have been released from the team, we're now seeing, oh, well, this works when I use this package. Very similar to the type of package that was used under Mike McDonald. So that's kind of where I stand with Zach Orr. To me, it should not have taken this long, but it has, and we're here now. I want to see the defense continue to trend in the right direction.
So I don't know if you heard this, but I heard it on the way home from Kevin. I know I'm going to destroy his name. Kevin
Striker?
Ostriker. Yeah, from Ravens, Locked On Ravens.
Yes.
He reported that there's an article in the Baltimore Sun about them having a players only meeting right around that Cincinnati game, either before or after that Cincinnati game.
Hmm.
And that kind of coincides with players being benched, players being cut, and the defense starting to play better. So apparently, whatever was said in that players only meeting, some good came out of it. It's rare that you have players only meetings on good teams, but apparently this needed to happen because the defense has been playing a lot better. And I will give shout out to Marlo. Um, Marlo has taken accountability from day one for getting the pass defense better.
Yeah.
And he's not only just talked about it, he's backed it up. If I'm not mistaken, Marlo is number one in interceptions among cornerbacks. There are some safeties that have other interceptions, but I think Marlon is number one in cornerbacks as far as interceptions. So he's not only talking it, he's walking that walk. So shout out to Marlon for leading by example and leading by rah. So shout out to him for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I heard about it. I don't know much. I'm going to kind of research a little bit more. But yes, there was that players only meeting somewhere, 4 or 5, 6 games ago. And like we saw a noticeable difference. And I agree with you 100%, coach. I am very, very pleased with Marlon Humphrey because through the silliness and the posts and the this and the laughs and the jokes and all of that emerged a leader. Someone had to step up on this defense and say, look, the Baltimore Ravens is a hard-nosed defense and we are not playing like it. We have strayed so far from who we are, and let's see how we can get back on track. So I'm very pleased with Marlon. I love to see him holding down the corner position for us because next to him, we have Brandon Stevens and Nate Wiggins. I wasn't going there. No shade, no shade to Nate Wiggins. I do think he's going to develop into a really good, solid cornerback. It's just, he's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes, and he just doesn't have that polish on him just yet. He doesn't have that refinement, but he's got the raw talent. So I don't really have a lot of concerns about him. But Brandon Stevens,
Nate start catching the ball, Nate will be one of the better cornerbacks
yeah.
in the NFL. He has that. He's that good in my eyes. He just
Mm.
long. But if you don't catch the ball, it don't matter.
Yeah.
You
I
don't
mean,
catch
if
the
you
ball, it
don't,
don't matter.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you can have all the pass breakups you want, but if the quarterback is gifting you a package football and say, this is gift wrap for you, here you go, right in your breadbasket, and you can't come down with it, then I mean, you can have all the pass breakups, you can have all the deflections, you can have all this and all of those other stats. But at the end of the day, if you don't help with interceptions and securing that for your team, then yeah, it's for naught.
Your win percentage should go way up when you get turnovers and when you win a turnover battle. But
Yes.
this last one I'm gonna talk about is because it's if I've asked everybody about it too. Normally you're on one side or the other when it comes to Deontay Johnson. So we all know what has happened by now. He is not practicing this week because he's suspended, which I didn't know that that thing because now he got to come back with another ramp up process, which is probably a reason to hold him out of Pittsburgh. But with him not going in, what do you think about Deontay Johnson? Because I know there's like a lot of people either there's no middle ground when it comes to him for the most part. Where are you on it?
I stand with let me preface what I'm about to say. I stand with the team in their decision to remove him
Mm-hmm.
or suspend him. At the end of the day, you are a player on a team. And I want to say that I get frustration.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen frustration from several wide receivers that have come through this Ravens organization.
Yep.
So that's nothing new. But even through their frustration, their annoyance, they still were available for their teammates. They still came to play. They came to work, ready to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that I'm clear by saying I get what Deontay Johnson is feeling. I get it. You're like, hey, you brought me here. You signed me. I expect to have some targets. I don't think that he came thinking he was going to be wide receiver number one. I don't think he had that, at least by all accounts, from what he
Right.
said, he didn't expect to come here as wide receiver one, but he did expect to contribute in
Mm-hmm.
some way. And now you get here and it's completely opposite. You get a couple of targets. And then when you got a few targets, some of those targets were drops.
Right.
I want to say more of them were drops than they were actual catches made. So
He only has one catch.
I thought he had like three.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah.
He got one catch. The catch that I think Zay should have blocked for him right before the half versus somebody. He
Mhm.
has two targets. One which you may be calling a drop, but I don't think it may have been catchable. It hit his hands when it
Yeah.
was going out of bounds. So it's tomato on that one. And then he had
Okay.
two balls that he just they weren't accurate. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. And he's been here a month,
A month. Yeah.
and you got 5 targets.
Yeah. And I can, and that's what I'm saying. I knew it was a very low number. It wasn't, double digits by any stretch, but I get it. You're frustrated by that. Like, hey, I could have stayed where I was. And even though the Carolina Panthers aren't really going anywhere fast, sorry, Brodney, sorry, D Weezy, if y'all are out here watching this, I'm just, I just got to keep it real. I could have stayed over there. I mean, it hurts. I could have stayed in Carolina and really made a name for myself because at the end of the day, all of these players are looking out for their next deal. And at his age, 28, I think, 20, this could be this next contract could very well be it for him in terms of a big contract. It could be. And if I'm not getting targets, I'm not getting an opportunity to polish up my resume and show the next team what I can do. And yeah, I get it. But you still have a commitment to be out there when your number is called, even if you don't like the circumstances under which you were called. Wide receiver, it wasn't one, it was two. Bateman goes out. Okay. Then it was like Nelson Aguilar next. We just went down the whole line. I mean, we went through receiver after receiver. Okay. You know what? Deontay, here's you. No, thanks. I'm a pass.
Right. And that's I bet that's kind of how it went. It was sitting there boiling, boiling, boiling. And he probably mentally like, well, I ain't getting in. And so when they
Yeah, I'm
called him
not.
again, he was like, what?
Oh, now you want look how the tables turn, do they? You want me to get in the game now when I've been asking, begging, pleading to get in, and now all of a sudden, no thanks. I'm comfortable right here. And then the Ravens said, "Oh, since you're so comfortable right there, how about you stay there for another week or so?"
It'd be different if the other guys were like way more talented than him.
Yeah.
But they not.
Yeah.
He got the best, maybe not on December 11th. Probably not the best player on best receiver, but he got the best resume out of all them guys.
He does. He
And probably got
does.
more yards than all of them put together almost.
Probably. And that's saying a lot because I don't know how many yards Zay has. He should be in the 800s by now. I know he was in the sevens. The last time I checked, he was seven something, 750, 760. So he might be upper sevens, even in the 800s. But even that is not comparable to because obviously Zay's only been in the league for 2 years versus Deontay has been in here a lot longer. But you have a veteran. And this is one thing that kind of frustrates me about the Ravens organization. There's a need for a veteran wide receiver. Otherwise, you wouldn't have signed Deontay. For what reason? So there is clearly a need. You knew that going into the offseason. You knew that there was a need a long time ago. And when there were available players who are the best in the business, yes, you are going to have to pay a pretty penny for them. But you were willing to pay OBJ $15 million for 3 or 4 catches all last season. I know I exaggerate. He probably got more than 4 or 5, 3 or 4, but you get my point is it was a limited amount of catches compared to how much money we were paying him. But yet you don't go and sign DeAndre Hopkins
Or trade for him or
or
whatever.
trade for him. You don't do any of that. So,
We got a game this week, so hopefully it'll be better this time next week. But with that being said, man, I appreciate you for coming through. Enjoy the conversate with you and learn a little bit more about your story and your journey in these what we call these YouTube streets. So before we end this, let everybody know where they can find your information, and it also will be linked in the description as well. But let everybody know where they can find your content.
again, thank you so much for having me, Coach. It's been a pleasure. You can find me here on YouTube at Ravens Talk with Yolanda. where this month I am producing content every day for the month of December. And after that, well, listen, I can't make no promises, but you can find me right here on YouTube. And you can also connect with me on X, soon to be Blue Sky. I'm in the works of that. But for now, on X at Yolanda ESQ 1908.
And I appreciate you for coming through. You guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe to me and to her. Click that link in the description. And we'll see y'all soon, man. Peace and love.